Thank you, sir. Thanks everybody for coming out, and hopefully the rain will hold off today. Yesterday was a complete washout here, which is kind of tough because I actually had a TV crew out here. John alluded to, I'm the host of Truck U. It's a half-hour show on Speed Channel, airs 9 o'clock in the morning. We had the whole crew out here, our new HD cams, everything ready to go, and it was a washout. So it was a little bit of a bummer, but we'll bring them out to another event. So what we've got for this year is, this is a 2007 Cobalt. It resembles a Cobalt to some extent. It's an all carbon fiber body, all carbon fiber interior. The body itself, the entire thing only weighs about 13 pounds, believe it or not. From the firewall back, which, you know, I'm talking right here back, is basically a legal Prostock car. Built on the same jig that all the Prostock cars you see out here. It's got all the latest, greatest stuff. Carbon fiber interior, titanium foiling, it's all titanium suspension. Every bell and whistle they've got over there. Where this thing I think it's interesting is where the firewall forward. It's a 4-cylinder, and most of you are thinking, okay, a 4-cylinder, what can that do? Well, an Outlaw trim with a big turbocharger, we made 1,540 horsepower. It's pretty impressive for 135 cubic inches. And a little background on that is what this is. It's a GM Ecotech racing engine. The same engine that's in your Cobalt in the street, your Saturns, your the Skyline, the Solstice. Literally the same engine block. The cylinder head's off of a Saab. Literally the same cylinder head that's on my streetcar Saab is what's in this car. What they did, the whole idea behind it, the whole story is they switched from the Cavalier to the Cobalt, and the motor had was a lot smaller displacement, didn't have any horsepower. So the guys at GM said, you know what, if we throw one of these things to you guys, the GM Powertrain division, what can you do with it? We need to make it a race engine, that'll make it cool. If you can get 400 or 500 horsepower, that'd be great. Well, we're at 1,540. So we went above and beyond what we were looking for, and blew up a lot of stuff along the way, but had a lot of fun. We made a lot of power. This thing, we're scaled down a little bit when we race it here. We have to run a smaller turbocharger. And this configuration, this thing will probably put out about 1,250 horsepower. We're limited to a 76 millimeter turbo. Boost pressure while we're running something like this here this weekend is probably about 38 pounds max. We run as high as 50. We've gone as quick as 686 at 204 miles an hour at 135 inches. So it's kind of quick. This is the quickest and fastest 4-cylinder in the country. I like to say the world, but maybe over there's some freak who's got something better than this, but I haven't seen it yet. It's some pretty cool stuff. And what's neat about it, not to plug GM to death, but if you ever want to find out about this engine program, you can go to gmtunersource.com, and it's a bunch of blogs. You'll see stuff about my car, the other GM racing cars, but they'll actually give you can download in PDF form the entire build book of this engine. Every part number, every clearance, piston to ring gap, everything you would want to know about this engine, how they built it is all there online for you to access. And it might not be that you want to build this motor, but you might be able to take something away from it for your application, kind of the stuff we're doing, some of the materials we're using, that sort of thing. So it's kind of a neat resource. Get into this car exactly. Let me step back a minute. Turbocharger, I don't know if all of you know how it works, and it's pretty neat because this is electronic fuel injection, it's turbocharged. It's basically what you can buy in the showroom on steroids to some extent. Turbocharger, what we do is, if you don't know how it works, it takes exhaust gases, spins them up in this compressor housing, and shoots it back through what we call an intercooler. See, when you spin up the air, it's really hot, okay? You want a cool charge going to the engine. So the intercooler, we literally fill this with 5 pounds of ice and 4 gallons of water. So it literally cools through like a radiator inside here, the core, cools the charge and goes into the intake. Since we switched over to alcohol, there's a lot of changes that had to be made over race gas. The reason why alcohol uses like almost 3 times as much fuel as we did in gasoline. So we had 1 injector per cylinder, a fuel injector, now we run 3. So we've got 3 160-pound injectors feeding each cylinder, which is a lot of fuel we're dumping. We actually, so much as we were on the dyno when we realized this winter that our fuel cell is too small. That by the calculations, we realized we were using about 2 gallons of fuel a run. We only had a 2-gallon fuel cell. So that could be hazardous. We actually had to cut off the whole front of the car and redesign it to accept a 3-gallon fuel cell, which only needed a 1/2 inch here and a 1/2 inch there, but was enough to cause us to reconfigure a whole lot of stuff. But in this form, it's early in the season. We've done a lot of testing with it down in Bradenton this winter, and the rewards have really paid off. We've, like I said, run really fast, really quick, and we're looking for big things so far this year. I know some of you guys have mentioned about a clutch setup. Another thing's unique about this car is, if you look inside, it's got the same transmission, a Liberty clutchless transmission like the Prostock cars. But what we do a little differently, my father's company does, manufactures a unit that actually takes a torque converter and puts it in front of a normal manual transmission. So this car's actually got a torque converter in front of a Liberty clutchless transmission. Now we can put stuff like Lenkos or heavy planetary transmissions behind it as well. And the whole idea is it gets rid of any maintenance. There's no maintenance between rounds, and it's consistent. Once you get a tune-up with your torque converter, you just run the car. You don't have to have a clutch guy, you don't have to work on it between rounds, and it gets rid of that variable. A lot of the world of drag racing is all getting the power to the ground. With a torque converter setup, there's no guesswork between rounds, so it'll go down every time. So that's what we do, my father's company does. Outside of hosting and racing, I'm there helping out at the shop every day. So I get to kind of see this whole world in a couple different lights. As part of the media, as part of a racer, and someone as a manufacturer. And for me, the boom in the automotive industry is huge. I mean, I don't know if you guys